Are you an aspiring dev? Do you want to make games on Roblox? Do you struggle with scripting? Well, you're in the right place. In this new video series, I'll teach you Roblox Studio right from the absolute fundamentals to intermediate coding and beyond. I'm Pro Dev, and you're watching. The first piece of terminology you need to learn is the object. So what is an object? At a basic level, an object can be thought of as a container for data and instructions. You're probably already very familiar with some Roblox objects. Ever use tools? How about proximity prompts? Or even a text button? These are all examples of objects in Roblox Studio. As developers, we can write code that interacts with these objects to make our games come to life. For example, spawning an explosion. So let's head over to Roblox Studio and experiment ourselves. First, let's make sure our window configuration is correct. Head over to Home, then click Explorer and Properties. Then, head over to Script and select Output. These three windows are so incredibly important, 99% of your time will involve them. So what do they do? The output window is responsible for logging what happens in our game. Error messages, warnings and developer logging will appear here. Note that players don't see this window, it's more a convenience for the programmer. The Explorer displays all the objects in your game. This means any script you write, block you place or user interface will appear at some point in this window. Objects are stored and displayed in a hierarchical structure, but more on this later. The Properties window displays information about any given object. By selecting an object in the Explorer, we're able to view and configure its properties. Examples include changing a part's color, changing the text of a label or increasing an explosion's blast radius. Let's start simple. Really simple. Head over to Model, then click Part. Hopefully you'll see a block appear in front of your camera. Now look at the Explorer tab. You should see the part appear underneath Workspace. If we select that part, new information will appear in the Properties tab. Feel free to mess about with these properties and modify your part however you like. I'm going to use two parts to model a simple tree. To play your game, simply click this arrow. Right now, there isn't much going on. We could continue to add more parts, but the best way to make our game feel more alive is to add code. Coding is the process of defining behavior that interacts with our game, players and much more. We write our code in Lua, a modified version of Lua, which is a super simple scripting language and is great for beginners. So let's make the following. After 5 seconds, the tree's leaves switch to orange, representing fall. Then, after 5 more seconds, the leaves disappear for winter. On my leaves part, I'm going to add a new script. If we wanted to make the leaves disappear, we could write leaves.transparency equals 1. However, trying to run this gives us an error. This is because our code uses the word leaves. But we haven't defined what leaves is, so the script has no idea what we are talking about. To fix this, we could write local leaves. However, this code will still error, and that is because whilst we've defined leaves, we haven't assigned it a value. This is why the Explorer window is so important. If we look at our script, we can see that it is nested within leaves. This is that parent-child relationship I mentioned earlier. Now if we write script.parent, we refer to the object one level up the hierarchy. If we try and run the game now, we should see the leaves go invisible. However, we wanted a 5-second delay. To do this, on the line above, let's write task.wait5. Test this and make sure it works. The final thing to do is make the leaves turn orange before disappearing. If you're feeling daring, give this a go yourself. Like before, we need to refer to leaves. Looking at the leaves properties, We can see it has a brick color. So I'll write .brick color to refer to this property. But now we're at a problem. For the value, what do I write? To find the answer to this, we can look at the documentation. This API reference documents all of the classes, data types,
enumerations, functions, events, callbacks, and properties that you can use when creating on Roblox.
Essentially, it's a user manual for the programmer. Any question you have will be answered here if you know how to look for it. I'm going to search up brick color. Now we can see that brick color has a constructor called new, that we can give a name, such as orange. What this means is if we run this code, we will receive a brick color type. We can then assign this value to our brick color property to give the leaves color. Adding another delay will finalize our code. Let's test it. At this point, you might be wondering why exactly we have to write the code a certain way. Why do we write local? What's up with all the brackets? Why does my code never work? To that I'd say, don't worry about it too much. Later videos will be fully dedicated to coding, so please wait for them. I hope you enjoyed exploring the basics of Roblox Studio with me. I plan to do more videos in this series going more in depth into coding, so if you wish to see that, leave a comment. If you have any questions or found anything confusing, please ask below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.